going to make this extremely quick. I knew Kamala Harris was going to end up being president. You know what's a goddamn shame? I'm thinking right now to when all of this basically first started and the Democrats were looking for someone to run against Donald Trump. I realized early on that the only person they were going to be able to pick that had name recognition was going to be Joe Biden. And then, as Joe Biden was actually running and campaigning, I actually expected that colorism and sexism alone were going to put Kamala Harris probably at the top of the ticket. I expected her to be at the top of the ticket because you know how basically the women now, these liberal Nazi, these liberal feminists, whatever you want to call them, I figured she'd be at the top of the ticket. But then something odd happened. That's when we realized that she sucked at campaigning and nobody really liked her at all. Now, it's funny because Hillary Clinton, as many people didn't like Hillary Clinton was actually a strong campaigner. And I don't know whether she got it from Bill Clinton or whether she just learned enough about Washington to make herself a strong campaigner. But I saw this coming all along. When Biden was basically pigeonholed into picking Kamala Harris to be his vice president because he had to pick a woman, and I guess they made the calculation that they couldn't pick Tammy Duckworth, because if you remember, Tammy Duckworth was one of the people he could possibly pick. There was no way that they were going to pick a woman who was a double amputee. Now, granted, Tammy Duckworth served her country, helicopter pilot, lost her legs, but the problem was there was no way that that was going to look good on camera. And knowing how the internet is now with memes, they knew they just couldn't do that. So basically, when it came down to his options, I knew they were pretty much going to pick Kamala Harris. They did their best to pass her off as a black woman, which we all know she's not. She's really a half Jamaican, half Indian woman. But they did their best to pass her off as a woman. I knew Biden was going to pick Harris. I knew that Biden was going to end up defeating Trump because of COVID. It was funny, all these manosphere dudes, I had to argue with these dudes a long time. And they didn't believe me. Oh, yeah, Trump's doing great. His economy's going to the moon. Trump's doing wonderful. His economy's going to Jupiter. I had to argue with these stupid motherfuckers for 2 years. I argued with them. I was like, listen, I don't know what it is that's going to bring Trump down, but they're going to bring him down. So now, fast forward to 2022. As you can see, I play chess online, and I have literally had this photo of Kamala Harris as my avatar for some time. I didn't call her Vice President Kamala Harris. I literally had a picture of her smoking marijuana, and I was calling her President Kamala Harris. And I had that picture right there as my avatar. I've whipped so many people's asses on chess.com. And I literally had her as my avatar called President Kamala Harris. Most people, when they saw Biden and they saw him stumbling over all his words, falling off bikes and this, that, and other, they knew that there was no way that this guy was going to make it through his entire term simply because of his age. They knew it. So they knew that whoever that vice president was going to be, chances are that was going to end up being the president. So this is not really a surprise to some people. I basically, you can probably see I used the search term President Kamala Harris Big Trunk Series Review because I wanted to go back in my videos to see how many times I had talked about it. But I talked about it a lot. Now, anybody who really follows me knows that I knew that this was coming. So if you fast forward today, right now, you're seeing that they're actually understanding that the Democrats are going to get their asses whipped in November. This is something I've been saying for a while. Anybody who knows me knows that I've been saying the Democrats are going to get annihilated in November. Those are my exact words. The Democrats are going to get annihilated come November. Whether you want to blame it on the gas prices, whether you want to blame it on the poor economy that's being run right now, whether you want to blame it on the poor handling of Russia versus Ukraine, whether you want to blame it on the poor pullout of Afghanistan, whether you want to blame it on the supply shortages, the lack of baby formula, the lack of tampons. Listen, whatever you want to blame it on, what the Democrats are trying to blame it on is ageism. They're trying to say that the reason why Biden may have to end up stepping down, or the reason why they want him to step down, they're trying to say that it's ageism. Now, if you go back just a couple of weeks, they were saying this about Ginsburg. They were saying Ginsburg waited around too long. She knew she was sick. She knew she had cancer. She knew she was going to the moon. And she should have retired. Because, see, here's the problem. These stupid Democrats don't know civics. This country doesn't have civics, so these people don't understand that a Supreme Court justice is a Supreme Court for life. But we want to get rid of Supreme Court Thomas, because Thomas is an Uncle Tom. His name is literally Tom. He's an Uncle Tom. We want to get rid of him because he took away our right to abortion. They don't understand that a Supreme Court justice is a Supreme Court justice for life. The only thing that can take them out of office is if they get impeached, if they die in office, or if they retire. So they're blaming, at this point, posthumously, they're blaming Ginsburg for not retiring early. Now, the presidency actually has a law, look it up right now, called the 25th Amendment. It's actually a law. See, these people don't understand the Constitution. They think that just because they hoop and holler that they can get rid of Clarence Thomas. Don't work that way. We actually have a law, however, that allows you to remove a president from office called the 25th Amendment. See, I got to teach civics because y'all don't know that. The 25th Amendment to the United States Constitution deals with presidential succession and disability. It clarifies that the vice president automatically becomes president if the president dies, resigns, or is removed from office, and establishes how a vacancy in the office of the vice presidency can be filled. It also provides for the temporary transfer of the president's powers and duties to the vice president, either on the initiative of the president alone or on the initiative of the vice president together with the majority of the president's cabinet. They have to take a vote in order to vote the president out. His cabinet has to take this vote. In either case, the vice president becomes acting president until the presidential powers and duties are returned to the president. Now, this is apparently if the president is incapacitated. If you have a president who suddenly becomes very sick or has a stroke or something like that, the vice president takes over, and that's if the president is, for whatever reason, incapacitated. The amendment was submitted to the states on July 6, 1965 by the 89th Congress and was adopted on February 10th, 1967, the day that the requisite number of states had ratified it. Now, I'm going to just tell you, I'm not going to spend all day talking about this. You could go read this yourself, but I know most of you are not going to bother reading it because you just don't give a shit. So the bottom line is, I'm just going to say it like this, and you'll just have to take it from me. If Biden is considered too old, and he's considered to be making lots of mistakes, or he was incapacitated, if his cabinet votes on removing him from the presidency, we actually have a law that says that they can do it. See, everything that's happening now is, strangely enough, happening via the Constitution. The Supreme Court changing New York or changing state gun rights, or basically giving it back to the states to decide, and telling New York that they can't tell me that I can't have my Desert Eagle and concealed carry, or not taking away the right to abortion, because there never was a right to abortion, but changing the opinion and the decision on Roe versus Wade and putting it back into the state's hands. Yeah, that's called the 10th Amendment. But y'all don't know the Constitution because you don't care to read the shit. It's right in front of you, and you don't even care. So that's just what I had to say right there. Now let's get back to Kamala. Once again, I knew that there was going to be, I knew Biden was just not going to be able to get through this entire because as far as I was concerned, he's a one-term president, and I was thinking based on his age that he was a one-term president. I've been saying that from the moment he swore in. What I didn't expect to happen was the economy to get this bad, and what I didn't expect to happen was what I'm going to talk about real quickly now. Apparently, a group on 4chan, I believe, has hacked. Let me see if maybe it's up here. They've hacked. What's this guy's name? Hunter Biden's laptop. And I'm just gonna type weighing crack because that's the key term. And there it is. There it is. Sky News. And I'm not going to videotape too much of it because I don't want to. I'm only using this as fair use. Apparently, they hacked this guy Hunter Biden's laptop, and apparently, they literally got this dude on his iPad weighing crack cocaine. Now, there's a possibility that they may try to say, well, you can't prove it's him, or that the room might be different than the guy who's on the picture, who's him, and blah, blah, blah. But apparently, this is only the tip of the iceberg. Apparently, there's a whole lot of salacious activity that he videotaped himself doing and this, that, and other. So the issue ultimately is knowing that there's no way that once the Republicans take office in November and take the supermajority, there's no way that they're going to let this dude get away, especially considering that on the laptop, supposedly, there were things said that say that Biden knew that Hunter was in this position or something, and he was trying to protect him. The Republican supermajority is going to try to impeach Joe Biden. They know that in the Democrat, what do you call it? The Democrat, the DNC or whatever. They know it. There's no way that Biden's making it through this entire term through 2024. There's no way. There's just no way. I believe what's going to happen is whether or not they want to use ageism or whether or not they want to talk to him privately and use this against him. Right now, they are probably telling him to start packing his shit because they are about to either invoke the 26th Amendment or they want him to resign. And if he resigns, it'll be because of health reasons. Just like in that Eddie Murphy movie, Distinguished Gentleman. I don't know if I could bring that up. They're gonna say it's health reasons, and people will believe it because we've seen him in the sauna. But there's no way that they can keep going with Biden for this lame duck presidency. So as far as Kamala Harris goes, as far as President Kamala Harris goes, if the Republicans take that Senate and the House and they get that supermajority, which I believe they will, she's going to be a lame duck. The only thing about it is she won't be impeachable because they have nothing on her. So she'll be able to serve out the term. And I just want to talk really quickly about my governor. My governor, who I don't like and who was put into office because the last guy before her, what's his name? I think it was Cuomo. They got him up out of there. They forced him into resigning. This woman wants to disconnect natural gas lines from new buildings being built because she believes in her infinite knowledge of physics and geology. She believes that electricity is enough to run these buildings. So basically, I want y'all to understand before you vote between her versus Zeldin, because that's the person who's running against her, versus Zeldin, I want y'all to understand something. This woman is going to put your asses one blackout away from freezing your asses off inside those apartment buildings that you're in. I just want you to understand that. Furthermore, she's not Second Amendment friendly, despite the fact the Supreme Court just overruled New York's unconstitutional bans on concealed carry for concealed carry permit holders. And they changed it from a may issue state to a shall issue state. I want you to understand something. She's not pro-Second Amendment at all. She's anti-Second Amendment, for one. So she will put you at risk. And she's going to put you at risk of freezing your asses off the first time you have a power outage. So this is what happens when you get people who don't know what they're supposed to be governing as a governor. This is what happens when you get somebody step into office who doesn't know how to govern. This is what you get. This is on my New York State level. But just wait till you get a load of President Kamala Harris.
What's your game, Thomas? Shakedown?
Yeah, it's a shakedown. Alright? And unless you want to see this all over CNN, you're going to pay my price. First, I want you to call Skeeter Warbuck, and I want you to tell him to launch an investigation on power lines. There's more. I want you to resign. You can tell people it's for health reasons. Most of us will believe that because we've seen you in the steam room.